the people who are most likely to be complaining or complaining first, your canaries in the coal mine as such, these are the people who really, really love the organization and are committed to it. And because they feel so connected to the organization that anything that's wrong feels like it's like they're either they're taking it very personally, like there's something wrong with them. It's kind of a transference that way, or they want the best of the organization and they're more in tune with that. And so they'll fight very hard. So in a weird way, we have this problem with management in that we want to up engagement and we want to up commitment because these things lead to very stable labor forces and people who do extra role behaviors. But the downside of that is within the extra role behaviors, you have people who are highly, highly sensitive to any flaw of the organization and take it personally, like a punch in the gut, if somebody else points out the flaw. And as such, they don't want to hurt. And so they will drive their managers crazy, informing them and reporting on all the problems. And the managers hate it because it's basically employees lopping turds onto their plate that you're not going to get to everything fixed. And it's coming at them as very negative, which makes them in turn, to the degree that they're committed, the manager is committed to the organization, makes them feel bad and makes them feel like it's a personal failure and creates personal shame for them. And so you've got potentially two people who, for the best reasons, are very sensitive to the organization, responding to problems, but because one is inflicting pain on the other, they're having a negative reaction, and that's kind of like the kill the messenger thing that happens.
Yeah, I remember it's been a few years ago, but we were doing just a group session of a group of employees at an organization, and the CEO was there, and they were complaining, and they were talking about this could be better, and this could be better, this, that, and the other. And at the break, the CEO, everybody cleared out, and the CEO was like, "Am I toast?" And I'm like, "What?" And she says, like, "Did you hear all their complaints? Like, we went long. We went like 15 minutes long on this block. Like, am I in trouble?" And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is an amazing sign of health.
Yeah.
That people are
engaged
still
in trying
care.
to fix.
The hardest work we've ever done, ever, is been in organizations where people had already quit.
Yeah, they're apathetic.
Checked out. Yeah. And they're not bringing you their complaints.
Yeah, I just had that happen to me this past week with a survey debriefing. You know, I had the employees in, and like I couldn't even finish the session with the material. Like they were just so engaged. And so anyway, the CEO comes in after and he's like, "Hey, do you want to debrief the leadership?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I want to go back, get this organized, and then I'll send it to you because there's a lot here." And I said, it was good. There was a lot of passion. And he just froze. He's like, "There's passion?" And I'm like, "It's good. Like there's stuff to work on, but it's good."
Yeah.
But you could see like that level of fear hit him.
And he's new in that. I know what you're talking about. This CEO is new to that place. He's been a CEO before. And so you're like worried, like, oh my God, people are upset. And it's not a bad thing. You should be listening to your complainers because in a very large percentage of the time, they have a point.
Yeah. Well, they have a point, but and by and large, there's another type of complainer, but by and large, you're
often
a high percentage of these complainers are going to be people who are complaining because they actually love the place.
Yeah. Love
and
it.
You want to hear from the complainers who love the place. Now, shall we talk about the other complainers before we step off of this? Because you got to triage these people.
Yeah. The most useful way we know how to do this, and it's taken us a long time to figure this out, and actually it took a big mistake. I think I can probably tell them the mistake. And so one of the first projects we were ever on, I consider it one of my greatest professional failures in this business, is I took a job Cindi said not to take because she didn't think the CEO was actually going to make the changes that seemed like were likely we were going to have to recommend. And I took it anyway. I convinced myself that I would be the savior kind of thing. I mean, I'm simplifying a little bit, but basically it's a job that there's no way we would take today. When we did not realize when we started that there would be a percentage of people who would hire us just to say they were doing something with no intention of actually making changes. And in almost all of our work, we gather huge numbers of employees to talk about what's going on, what's going well, how can we make things better. And you can't have 150 employees pour into you their hopes for the company and then have nothing happen. And so we didn't realize people would pay to go through a theater of doing something and not do something. And so this was a project where you sensed that early and I didn't. I took it anyway. It turns out that in the end, the CEO wasn't going to make any changes. And as soon as the employees realized that the CEO wasn't going to change, they stopped talking to me. And so I was done. And then I ended it maybe one session after that. And so the whole thing was a gigantic learning point for me. But the failure part is that inside of this, I was telling him, look, there is this one person, and this person is going to burn the house down. And we have to figure out, what are we going to do? And he's like, well, who's going to take this person's spot and what's going to be? And I'm like, look, I think a lot of her responsibilities can go on to this other person, and that this person is part of the new era of what's going to take this company and make it a lot better. And so basically I recommended, we have a big problem over here, and here's where we should put our faith in. And 3 months later into this project, I realized I was completely wrong. And the person I thought we had a problem with was actually a complainer who was the best friend, and the other person was a total bullcrapper playing every side against the middle, and ended up, CEO ended up having to, for a variety of reasons, she ended up leaving on her own later. But I never forgot that not only did I miss this, but I missed this so starkly. And it was because I confused the person you're talking about, somebody who loves the organization but's complaining because they're trying to make it better, and somebody who's never going to be happy no matter what you do. And the cleanest way to determine which is which is to either make a change on the thing they're saying is a problem and try to make an improvement, or tell them all the reasons that you can't and that we got to park this for a while. And often that's enough to have that person go back to their, I hate to say great employee ways, that's kind of simplifying it, but it gets them off of that complaint. Whereas somebody who's not going to be happy, no matter what you do, is going to find something else to complain about.
Well, and I think over time, you also see that the person who's committed, when you talk to them, they're complaining in a way that is like they want the organization to be better.
Yes.
Whereas
totally.
The person who is just never going to be, at least, not without some severe work and maybe medication, not going to be happy, like they're going to be complaining about usually things that impact them, which granted, the good complainer may also be complaining about some things that impact them just because that's what they see. But it's not really about the organization improving. It's about, making their job better. And even that is tricky because sometimes those people are also right too.
Yeah.
And so you got to look for the people who are complaining about everything, like just a variety of things that are really not about improving the organization and are really about them, versus somebody who's complaining about them because their position is legitimately screwed up.
Yeah, we advise many governmental entities, and one type that we do a fair share with is first responders, specifically police and fire. And many fire departments have what's called an association, which is basically a labor union. And there's usually complaints that the association brings to the fire chief and the leaders of the fire department. We don't like this, we don't like this, we don't like this. And a lot of times they have a point. And when we advise the chiefs, we say, listen to them. What are they saying? What's the kernel of truth? What can you work on? What should you be listening to? But occasionally, we'll have people we advise, and their association is led by someone, a president, who will never be happy. No matter what the chief does, they're never going to be happy. And you have to treat that differently. You have to treat that as I'll use stark terms that we sometimes use. The person that Cindy's describing who has a point and is a complainer, that's a heartbroken lover. Sometimes we call it that.
Yeah.
They love you, but they're heartbroken because they think you're screwing something up. The person who's never going to be happy, they're a terrorist. And that's mercifully rare, but it happens. And you have to decide what you're going to do with the terrorist because they're never going to be happy. And they're inserting a gigantic degree of negativity into your organization.
And sometimes chaos.
Sometimes chaos. A lot of times they're diverting your bandwidth. It's like
You're basically, all the people who have to deal with this person, their whole mental state is getting chewed up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you're a CEO of a public company and all of a sudden an activist investor takes a big stake in your company and starts making demands for all the stuff you need to fix. And CEOs hate that. And you can hire advisory firms and what do I do and how do I fight this? And it's going to take a lot of time. Our advice to those CEOs would be, step one, do they have a point? Have you gotten too fat? Should you sell off this part of your business? Like, maybe they have a point. And then, are they going to be happy? Even if you do 2/3 of the things they say or whatever the number you think.
Right. If they have a point, they have a point.
Yes.
And now
they may not have all their point, you
right.
know.
They may not.
Yeah.
So fix on the thing they got the point on if you can. Everything is a trade-off because limited resources. It would be great if they bounced back and they were just complaining because they had a point. If they don't, then that's like a separate problem. Like,
yes,
you're still going to work on the problem. That's the problem because you've identified it as a problem.
Yes, and I think we're saying the same thing. I tried to populate this example.
I just wanted to clarify that just because they're the complainer that isn't ever going to be happy doesn't mean you blow them off. Because it's like, I mean, I think everybody has people in their life who will insert their opinions or complain, and like the tendency is, because they're always doing it, is like almost an immediate reflex of being like, no. And you have to pull yourself back and be like, do they have a point? Even though they're always painful to deal with, do they have a point? And if they do, then you have to actually take the advice or deal with the problem.